So we're reflecting on the passages for the fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time. And our gospel is a continuation of the Gospel of Luke. And we are now in chapter 4, and the selection is verses 21 to 30. And I think it's valuable to go back to the previous week's gospel, because what we reflected on this just a couple of days ago is important for us to focus on what goes on in the gospel that we are reflecting on today. So Jesus had been handed the scroll of the prophet Isaiah. He unrolled it and he read this passage. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring glad tidings to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to captives, recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord. And so the gospel for the fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time that we're reflecting on from year C begins then. Jesus began speaking in the synagogue, saying, "Today this scripture passage," the one that I just shared, "is fulfilled in your hearing." Now, if we were sitting in that synagogue, what would we think? And we see that all spoke highly of him. Why wouldn't they? I mean, somebody that's going to quote such an important passage from the prophet Isaiah and then say it's fulfilled in their hearing, when they had to recognize that this was a most unique moment. A moment that caused them to be amazed at the gracious words that came from his mouth. What's going on? And indeed, that question of what's going on alerted them to something. I mean, as something inside shifted. And it doesn't say, it seems like the whole crowd was in unison. I'd like to think that that was not the case, that there were at least a couple of people who wanted, well, wait a minute, but they evidently weren't given the chance, if in fact they expressed a desire to hold off. But they ask, "Isn't this the son of Joseph?" Now again, I wish I knew Greek, because the word "this," not at all personal. Is this person, being, whatever. But, and it's interesting that they don't even mention Mary. What are they trying to say? Isn't this the son of Joseph? Except that it's a very patriarchal society, so they would be inclined to focus on the male. But isn't this the son of Joseph? Well, then Jesus said to them, "Surely you will quote me this proverb, 'Physician, cure yourself,' and say, 'Do here in your native place the things that we heard were done in Capernaum.'" So the people naturally have, because they are not dealing with this in an honest and upright way, have walked right into a big contradiction. And one of the things I want to have us think about are some of the conversations we have day by day, especially with people who are in an argumentative mood or in a mood that they're having difficulty seeing things our way, or we're having difficulty seeing things their way. And instead of being open to letting the truth emerge, however that might be, we go off on these tangents. And so what caused Jesus to so quickly get into this line of saying, surely you will quote me the word? And it goes on for a number of verses. And of course, what happens in the meantime, of course, is that the people end up filled with fury. Was Jesus trying to aggravate the people? Don't know. Which would be interesting, because Luke tends to present people in a fairly gentle light, usually. Unlike Mark, who is much more. So one question could be, what had Jesus going from having been spoken of highly, having the people amazed at his gracious words, and then those 6 words, isn't this the son of Joseph? Did that upset him? To have him say, well, surely you're going to quote me the proverb, physician, heal yourself. What kept Jesus from? Or did he just perceive, well, these people are closed-minded, so I may as well address what I observe?